Thanks, Richard.
You don't need to say that.
No, I'm just trying to think what to kick it off with. Hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're here again today, and we're going to have a little talk about the history of NATO's. And so I'm Andy from Zulu Dive, and this is Richard as well. And Richard, could you give us a little bit of a history of NATO's and how old are they?
Absolutely. The NATO strap, as we know it, first appeared around 1944, and it was in the guise of a single pass piece of canvas. The British MOD gave it the designation of AF0210, and it didn't have any holes stamped in it. You just punched the pin straight through the material, and they used it during the tail end of World War II for their military field watches.
Okay.
In the 50s, they upgraded it into, again, single pass, but it had stamped holes in it. And a good little fact is it was actually one of those 1950 straps, came out in 1954, I believe, that Sean Connery wore in 2 of the James Bond movies. The NATO as we know it, like the NATOs we're both wearing at the moment, appeared in 1973. They're called the G1098. That's named after the form, the G1098 form, that a soldier had to fill out from the quartermaster to get a new strap. I had a side story. I had an old manager who was ex-4-5 commando, and to his dying day, he only ever called a NATO a G1098 strap.
Okay. Yeah.
And they've been in that guise since. They came out in 20mm. Now with current changes in watch styles, I think the MOD also offers them an 18mm. But the Zulu Diver NATO strap, or that you would buy from us now, is to all intents and purposes a G1098.
Okay. So the NATO strap, is, most of our viewers might know, is a really popular watch strap to be wearing at the moment, and has been for a number of years. So I just wondered, when did you buy your first NATO, and where was it from?
Right. I bought my first NATO, and I freely admit to being a huge advocate of them. Late 80s. I was stationed in Oman, and I was wearing a watch on a metal bracelet. I was wearing a Rolex on a metal bracelet, the Oyster bracelet. And the problem with that is, as you got hotter and hotter in terrible desert conditions, the strap became tighter and tighter. So a British soldier serving out there said, "Why don't you try a NATO?" Didn't know what it was. So he requisitioned one from the stores for me. I put it on, and I never looked back. Now, I got to admit, it wasn't the best NATO in the world. It frayed around the holes, it frayed at the end, but I stuck with them. And then another British military guy put me onto a company called Zulu Diver.
Okay.
And that was about 10 years ago. And from that moment, I've never looked back. And now most of my watches are still on NATO straps. I've got a collection of original manufacturer bracelets and leather straps in my watch drawer, which really didn't see the light of day very often, because everything eventually goes onto a NATO strap.
So many of our viewers would probably have seen the James Bond movies and noticed that he wears a NATO watch strap, and you briefly touched on it just earlier on. So can you tell us a little bit of history about James Bond and why he wears a NATO strap, or which movies?
Sure, yeah, what I know. The first 2 Bond films, he wore his Rolex 6538 Big Crown Submariner on a leather strap, which is a really good look. Really good look, something also we can do through Zulu Diver. But on the second 2 films, he did indeed wear it on a NATO. In the 3rd and 4th films, he famously wore a single pass NATO, based on the 1954 example. Equally famously, the strap didn't fit the watch. And this is something that really irritates people. When you look at, there's a wonderful photograph or a screen cap of Bond's Rolex, say from Thunderball or from Goldfinger, where he looks at it with through the light of his lighter. And you can see he's got an 18mm strap on a 20mm watch.
Yeah, I've seen the picture. You know, it's all over the internet. And people craze about this. It's not the right size or anything.
It does look really weird. Yeah. The great news is that this phalanx I'm wearing at the moment has got a very, very accurate reproduction of that strap, and we make it in the right size.
Yeah.
So it does look great. It's got the twin service stripes. I don't know the origins of the colours of the strap that Bond wore. There's a number of Bond straps out there. There's a grey one with the two grey stripes with the black NATO strap, which Daniel Craig equally famously wore on his first interview when he was given the role of James Bond. That was based on twin grey service stripes for the Royal Navy, I believe. There's plenty of Bond straps out there that we do, and yet any watches you've got will look cooler on them.
Right. So the other good thing that I really enjoy about wearing a NATO is they're really easy to change on a daily basis. So it's not like you need any tools really, and you can quickly change it. So you can have a nice range of different straps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is no right and wrong way to fit a NATO strap. There are various methods. The fitting of it to the watch is the same. It passes through the spring bars, but some people like to tuck the excess material over the top. Some people like to tuck it round the back. That's my personal preference, so it doesn't catch. People often say to me, why do you have the excess material on a NATO? Very simple, that's there so the watch can be worn over bulky clothing. That's why the military had it. It can be worn over a wetsuit. The fitting of it is not difficult, and you're right, you can really change the look, the aesthetics of a watch just by changing the NATO. You can go for a very subtle black special operations look. You can liven up with a very bright regimental colour. You can go for a tropical look. There's no limit to how you can change the appearance of a watch with carefully selected NATO straps. The other great thing about NATOs is they don't just have to be in fabric, such as the G1098s. We've got some really new exciting materials, haven't we?
Yeah, so at Zulu Diver we're always looking to develop new products, and so something new that's will be coming very soon is a new sailcloth version of the NATO. So we're working on that. It should be available soon on our store, and we'll keep you updated on the news for that. But also with our leather watch strap range as well, we've got some new exciting colours coming in some really good vintage patinas. So I'm sure you'll agree when you see them that they look pretty damn good. So that's great.
And what that's actually my Crazy Horse strap you're wearing at the moment on my field watch.
It is.
So what I'm also going to do is we did the original review of the strap when it came out. What I'm going to do this week is put up a 1 year into wearing it type review as to how the strap has performed, because one of the beauties of the Crazy Horse leather is that it ages and it mottles and it patinas as you wear the watch, as it lives on your wrist. So look out for that. We're going to be writing a new feature about how I've got on many months later with the Crazy Horse strap, and it is beautiful now, and the pictures actually look quite different to when the strap was new.
Thanks very much, Richard.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us again, and stay tuned for more updates from Zulu Diver. Thanks, guys. Bye.